Mobile phones have revolutionized our lives, but they've also brought new challenges. The mobile games industry in particular is notorious for prioritizing profits, with players so often being exploited through addictive gameplay and monetization tactics. Yet Fallout Shelter is an example of a free-to-play mobile game which did things right. This allowed it to not only win awards when it was launched in 2015, but it's still played today over a decade later. It has also made over $100 million. So let's take a look at how Fallout Shelter is an exceptionally good mobile game. There aren't really any spoilers, but beware of some minor ones from here on out. Fallout Shelter sees you take on a management role, overseeing an underground vault in the post-nuclear apocalypse world of Fallout. It's your job to ensure the needs of your vault dwellers are met as you expand in numbers, but also deeper down into the bedrock. When you first begin a new vault, you have only a few key room types you can construct and a handful of dwellers to work in them. Starting with only the basics like this allows new players to not be overwhelmed and progress the early game at their own pace. The core gameplay is also kept incredibly simple, with only 3 main resources to manage. There is power, which keeps the vault operating, as well as food and water, with demand only increasing as you build more rooms and have more inhabitants. But the brilliance of these resources is that they are easily managed, just needing the correct rooms. This means players can instead focus on the more fun aspects of the game, such as planning the vault layout. Expanding your vault is also straightforward, and prospective dwellers will occasionally show up at your vault door. Or you can grow more traditionally, putting a female and male dweller together in the living quarters. It might help if they have high charisma. In fact, every resident of your vault has their own attributes, which determine where the best place is for them to function in your vault. But even this doesn't matter too much, as these stats can be boosted with outfits and even maxed out with training rooms. You can also send dwellers out into the wasteland in search of items, and importantly bottle caps, the in-game currency. Equipping them with the best weapons and armor will mean that they can explore further and will likely find better items. But even if you forget about a dweller out in the wasteland and they die, nothing will be lost. It simply costs an amount of money to revive them, and they will usually bring back more than it costs. This makes this part of the game relatively stress-free. After unlocking the Overseer's office, you can also send dwellers out into the wasteland on specific quests. Many of these are multi-part storylines, and upon completion will not only give you rare items, but also sometimes unique high-level dwellers. For example, following one of the new quest lines can see you obtain several of the main characters from the Fallout TV show for your vault. While it is slightly unbalanced this early in the game, Fallout Shelter doesn't really care, and prioritizes your enjoyment. The mechanics for these out-of-vault encounters are also kept simple, with the turn-based combat playing out largely on its own. But it's not completely hands-off, as players will still need to keep an eye on their dwellers' health and make the critical hits. By keeping the gameplay as non-complex as it is, it allows Fallout Shelter to be easily picked up and played, making it highly accessible. This in turn allows it to cater to broad audiences, whether or not they've played other games in the Fallout franchise before. One huge factor in Fallout Shelter's success is that it has the entire world of Fallout to draw inspiration from. The game therefore ensures that it takes the important parts and makes sure to include as many things as possible that make Fallout games truly great. At a top level, this embodies 2 core Fallout fundamentals. One is the concept of living underground in the now iconic Vault-Tec vaults of the series. The other is exploration, notably facing the mutated dangers encountered in the irradiated wasteland. Sometimes these hazards venture into your vault, where incidents occur randomly or if you fail to rush a room. You will get frequent creature infestations, whether it be rad roaches, mole rats, rad scorpions, or every Overseer's nightmare, terrifying deathclaws. Fallout Shelter also includes many things taken directly from Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. For example, most of the weapons, outfits, and junk items are from these main games, meaning they will be familiar to players. But the genius is that it also refines things to ensure they fit well into the game. For example, the mysterious stranger will randomly appear in your vault in a sort of hide-and-seek minigame, giving you some bottle caps if you find them quickly enough. Fallout Shelter also makes use of these special skills for each of your dwellers. While they are obvious in how they impact the efficiency of your vault, some of them also work behind the scenes. For instance, luck influences the number of caps you earn. Perhaps also most clever is that the art direction is based on the Vault-Tec promotional materials aesthetic, with the Vault Boy and Vault Girl mascots. As they are well-known symbols of the franchise, this is what makes it feel like an authentic Fallout game. Having the Fallout franchise as a solid foundation means it can take things from its predecessors and refine them into something that works well. It also has the bonus that returning players will be familiar with a lot of the game already, giving plenty of nostalgia. Avoiding the pitfalls that make mobile games so often problematic can be difficult, but it is something that Fallout Shelter masters exceedingly well. The main way in which it achieves this is by respecting the players, and not pressuring them into spending money. One of the main criticisms of mobile games is the inclusion of microtransactions, but here they are considered to be completely unobtrusive. This is to the point where you could argue it's absolutely unnecessary to include them at all. Lunchboxes are one of the things that players can purchase, which are essentially loot boxes that give random items. But these do not give pay-to-win bonuses, and you get plenty of them from simply playing the game. This makes getting extra ones completely optional. Nuka-Cola Quantum is also the game's way of providing players with the ability to skip some of the asynchronous idle gameplay design. But again, the game ensures the player receives more than enough of them to get the balance good. Even the inclusion of advertisements in the game is entirely optional. They are only there as a way to support the game, where you can receive some of the paid for items for free as a thank you. Fallout Shelter even entirely avoids one of the bigger issues of free-to-play mobile games, the concept of FOMO, the fear of missing out. The game only has daily and weekly limited time events with basic rewards, and there are no items put behind a paywall. Another consideration that also seems rare for mobile games is the concept of unlocking new items by playing the game. But Fallout Shelter often rewards blueprints for new cosmetic items purely by completing the quests. The end result is that Fallout Shelter's implementation of microtransactions is incredibly ethical. The game actually encourages you to drop in and out for short sessions rather than push addictive gameplay so that you would have to pay money to continue playing. Fallout Shelter lets you experience the thrilling challenge of building an underground society in the post-nuclear apocalypse wasteland. By prioritizing player enjoyment over profit, the game has achieved remarkable success as a free-to-play mobile game with only gentle monetization. So much so that PC and console versions of the game were also released. Ultimately, Fallout Shelter stands as a prime example of how to make a good mobile game without resorting to exploitive tactics.